Yes. Do not adjust your sets. Russie B here with an evening headlines. There's been a hell of a lot of news today, and that's before we've even thought about tomorrow's game against Wolves in the Carabao Cup, which could, be decisive in deciding David Moyes, such a Freudian slip. Graham Potter's time at the club. We've spoken about this morning about reports. They have been denied, but would they not be denied? By the club in terms of being in charge until the end, until the the end of next week, this week coming, and then obviously going into international break. If he loses those two games, he could be out on his ear. And then we spoke about some players leaving, and then Hammer's headline spoke about some players joining. So we're going to do a bit of both for this one. Some players, a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts in terms of players coming and going. It does seem it's going to be pretty busy when it comes to the last few days of the transfer window. So let's start with sort of the incoming. So we spoke about 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓 and Andy Irving potentially moving on. Now, according to reports, West Ham are considering making a move for Middlesbrough's Hayden Hackney before the transfer window closes. He's keen to add a midfielder to his options in terms of Potter. Of course, he is. And, the likes of Matheus Fernandes and various other players obviously are on the peripherals. We also mentioned Hammer's headlines about Adrien Rabiot as well, with him expected to leave Marseille before the window shuts. However, it does seem that Hayden has not come out of the pack because he's been someone we've been looking at for a while, but it seems to maybe been accelerated. If we can take, that means we haven't been doing it quickly. We've been here for the window's been open since the 1st of June. He was obviously a key player for Middlesbrough last season, managed by former Hammer Michael Carrick, who's no longer at the club. Rob Edwards is now, and quickly rose to become one of the best and one of the most impressive Championship midfielders. England 21 plays at the base of the midfield and can play in a slightly more advanced role. So there's that sort of, I tell you what, a two of him and Potts would be amazing for me. And he has something which the midfield lacks, which is energy. He's got about 3 progressive carries per 90 minutes. Now, Jacob Steinberg reported today that West Ham have the Middlesbrough Academy product under consideration. His contract is due to expire in 2027, and he'd obviously be a cheaper option than what Southampton are asking for Fernandes. They've got 50 million on him. Hayden will be a lot cheaper, but it's believed that he will not join, let me flick it the other way. 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗓𝗓 will not leave until a midfielder comes in. With Alvarez already leaving, Andy Irving leaving, 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗓𝗓 is not leaving until they bring a midfielder in. So we'll read into that as we will. We've got, I think it was Espanyol seem to be front runners. Real Betis is still sniffing around, Celta Vigo as well. So I think he'll be back in the Liga in terms of 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗓𝗓, but he ain't going nowhere until we bring in a midfielder, which I kind of respect, to be honest, because we sort of need that because we don't want to be in a situation. Do you remember a couple of years ago, and we let Pablo and Saïd Benrahma go without bringing the replacements in on the last day of the transfer window, and there was that picture of him on his phone in the tunnel, wasn't it? In terms of Pablo, so let's see what happens. Another player we've been linked to again, which has come to the forefront again today, is Yves Bissouma from Tottenham, formerly of Brighton, and played under Potter, and looking for a reunion, a 28-year-old. We're believed to, in terms of reports, that Tottenham are happy for him to get rid. So a loan with an obligation or a loan with an option is an option, so to speak. So he wouldn't necessarily need to lay out at the beginning, so he could be a useful loan signing. If Spurs are going to deal with West Ham is another question for that respect, but they want rid. He hasn't featured. He had a falling out with Thomas Frank, didn't feature in the Super Club, and he turned up late for training. and hasn't been able to get himself properly into the first team squad this season under Thomas Frank. Another player being linked with us and Everton are reportedly interested in Nathan Ake from Man City, the 30-year-old. He's 30? Yeah, I think he's 30, isn't it? I want to say he's 30. Let me just check. People go, oh, actually, he's 29. And fucking hell, I made a mistake. Yes, he was 30 in February. Now, according to reports, West Ham, Newcastle, and Everton are all considering a late move for the Man City defender. Would be interesting to see. The only thing is, again, a bit like when we spoke about Rabiot this afternoon, he's 30. So, whereas Rabiot is about 12, 30 million quid, they reckon it's going to be about 20 million for Nathan Ake. I know he spent 40 million on bloody what's his face, on Max Kilman. But I don't know about Nathan. Injuries is an issue, isn't it? Injuries is an issue, but I mean, look at fucking Jack Grealish at Everton. It's two assists. He played well. I think a loan deal would be awesome if we get a loan deal for him to come in just to give us that extra bit of Premier League experience. Obviously, he's won league titles in the Premier League. We obviously were linked with him before he went to Newcastle when he was at Bournemouth. No, was it Bournemouth? Yes, before going to Man City, rather not Newcastle. We were linked to him at that time, and I think they signed him for a free transfer, if I remember correctly, or not a lot of money, if I remember. That's going back some years. When did they sign him? They bought him. I swear it was like a free transfer or something they got him for. No, it wasn't. It was £28 million by the looks of it. Weird. Because he was at Chelsea, wasn't it? But Bournemouth lent him and he went low and he went to Bournemouth for £8 million. And then that was in 2020. 5 years ago, they bought him. That's mad, isn't it? It's like I saw something on Twitter today of Ocean Colour Scene. And they all look like so old. And it makes me feel so old myself. Let's see what happens. To be honest, in list of priorities, we do need another centre half. That's clear. Shipping, 8. Couldn't count for a minute. Shipping 8 goals in 2 games isn't great. I would love like a young Craig Dawson. That's what I really want. I want someone who's a fucking no nonsense, old school British defender. I just think we lack that sort of oomph in that sort of central defence. If only we could get, if we could Benjamin Button, Craig Dawson. That's who I'd really want. Just to give some just to have an hard man. I spoke about Rabiot, he's a bit of a bad boy. I think we're too nice. We need a bastard. We need a villain. We need a pantomime villain that the other fans will hate and will love. And we haven't got one. We've got some nice players, technical, good players, but no nastiness. Even Kevin, someone like Kevin Nolan was I wouldn't say he was a nasty player, but tough player, which the other opposition fans always hated. And I miss that. I miss having some, a Dixie or a Repka or someone to fucking just have a go, put a tackle in and just get everyone enthused in a performance if it's going a bit quiet. One person who does put a foot in, Tomas Soucek. Now, according to reports today, Everton have put in a bid for potato salad, which has been rejected by the club. We know there's an interest there from Moyes in terms of Tomas Soucek. As you can imagine, he was Moyes' first appointment. No, was he the first one? Was it Bowen? Well, him and Bowen, that transfer window, one was Bowen. I think it's Soucek first, then Bowen, or it might be Bowen and Soucek. But according to Jacob Steinberg, West Ham have turned down the bid. Whether Everton will go back in for him is another question. Obviously, it was a substitute he came on as a substitute for the Sunderland game, but then started as we lost 5-1 against Chelsea. 81 caps for his country, 247 appearances across all competitions for West Ham over the past half a decade. I mean, he's been here since 2020 as well. 41 goals, 13 assists. I think it's the top 50 all-time goal scorers at West Ham as well. And again, I think it'll be a similar situation with Tomas Soucek, the same it is with Guillermo Rodriguez, in that he would not leave until we bring players in. But if we haven't got money to bring players in, he's staying. if we're led to believe we haven't got a lot of money anyway, so why are we? So you can't say, oh, we're going to bring in unless it's a loan signing or a free transfer, I'd assume. Hopefully not, but there we go. And just to add to another, would the last person to leave the London Stadium switch the light off, please? Because according to reports, Emerson is due to leave for Marseille on a free transfer. I don't know how that one works. I don't know how it works. I mean, we were looking for about, I mean, he's rated about 10 million quid. We were looking for about that. And now it looks like he's going to go for zilch. Nada. At all. We signed him for £30 million in October 2022. And yeah, according to reports, he is going to be leaving on a free transfer. Now, granted, he is on probably about 5 million quid a year from wages, which would take them off the wage bill, which would allow us to spend and obviously increase wages for new people coming in, offering new contracts, that type of stuff. But it does seem a bit of a come down from getting 10 million quid for him to nothing. I mean, I know we're not very good business. I know West End don't seem to be very good business people, but still, that seems really, really shit for the course, in all honesty. Yeah, very, very strange indeed. Yeah, 𝗘𝗩𝗘𝗡𝗚 claiming he's getting close and he'll be arriving on a free transfer from West Ham. Ding dong, said the tweet. I mean, the only thing, you could suggest maybe a swap deal with Rabiot. I think I'd probably have that. To be honest. He's 2 years younger than Emerson. But if Emerson goes and if Rodriguez goes and Irving goes, we would have got rid of 11 players, a whole side that we would have got rid of. And I played a 4-4-2 because it's 4-4-2. Fabianski obviously left out of contract, Cresswell out of contract, Zouma out of contract, Soufal out of contract, Ings out of contract, Antonio out of contract, despite obviously still playing for the 21s. Go back and check my video out for the Academy show a little bit earlier on. Had a bit of a rant about that. Alvarez obviously on loan. Kudus we sold to Tottenham. Irving looks like he's going. I'm sure we put an asterisk by him. He hasn't left yet, but looks like he's going to Wrexham potentially. Rodriguez, as we spoke about, and Emerson, we spoke about today. So that's already 11, with the likes of Soucek potentially, Paqueta with a question mark over his head. That's a lot of players we've got rid of. And realistically, we've only brought in 4 players. Kyle Walker-Peters, Callum Wilson, and then Diouf and Mads Hermansen. Now, we know that, the likelihood is if Rodriguez is to go, then we will be bringing in. So that's 1 for 1. But still, even if we get 2 midfielders in by the time, that's 6 players we've got in, and at least 11 have gone. Yes, it gives us opportunity for the pathway in terms of the kids going out. But even that, Kaylee Case is going out on loan as well. And I imagine you'll still see a number of the academy players or the pathway players, the likes of Lewis Orford, I imagine will be going out on loan. And then, as we suggest during the academy show, I think Regan Clayton and Junior Robinson will be going out on loan as well. Christian Heggie, I don't think he'll go on loan at the moment, maybe in January. He's currently injured. But yeah, it's something, to be honest, we needed to be fair, I think, maybe with the exception of Kudus. One of the major criticisms of our squad over the last couple of years, it's been one of the oldest squads in the world. One of the oldest squads in the Premier League for sure. Fabianski, getting rid of him, is 40 years old. Cresswell's in his early 30s. Zouma's in his early 30s. Soufal's in his early 30s. Emerson's in his early 30s. Rodriguez is in his early 30s. Antonio is 36. Danny Ings is in his mid 30s as well. So, we naturally have made the squad younger, but we've made the squad less at the same time. And yeah, I mean, the Emerson one's puzzling. I don't understand that unless there is something in the background or the ability to obviously take off, the best part of 5 million quid off the wage bill. I don't know. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, share. And if you're still around, if you haven't switched the lights off in London Stadium just yet, you'll have a quiet couple of days. Myself and Anton are currently not together. We're currently on holiday. We'll be on holiday tomorrow. Anton's still on holiday, but obviously I go out for a couple of days. Holly will be back on Wednesday with the Hammers headlines and stuff like that. So we still have all the pre-match stuff, all the starting 11 shows, all that malarkey is still happening. All going to be recorded before we go, and we'll resume normal service from Friday onwards. But we will still be doing bits. I'll be doing a review show of a review of the game tomorrow. Hopefully we win, because I just want us to win a game. I want us a bit of confidence. I don't want to be talking about people being sacked and stuff like that, because that means, as I said, I want Potter to do well, because if Potter does well, then West Ham do well. And that's what I want. So hopefully we'll get a result tomorrow. If not, rinse and repeat, as Anton says. And then we look at Nottingham Forest as, an absolutely crucial game for Potter to get anything. Till next time, my friends, much love, motherfuckers. See you later. Bye-bye.